welcome back to the 310 QuickPod. My name is Kris Germain. As always, no, that's not true either. That's not true either. Sometimes my guest and my co-host is the famous Jen McMahon. We have a great special guest here with us today. We're going to do something great, but I'm going to let Jen McMahon introduce our guest.
All right, this is Darren, and he manages the Redondo Beach location of Village Runner, and we are so lucky to have him here. I am a running coach, and so it's so helpful for me to have a local running master that I can go to when I have questions, and he has helped me so much. So a few years back, I met Darren at Village Runner when I was looking for new shoes, and he has been my go-to guy for this ever since. So yeah, if you ever want running shoes, this is the guy to go see.
Come see me.
Right on. Welcome to the QuickPod, and just to let everybody know out there, we are doing a little a QuickPod that is going to be somewhere around 15-20 minutes, and we are also going to be doing an extended podcast that you can find on iTunes, on our CrossFit 310 website, Facebook page, and stuff like that. But so we will get to a specific topic. We want to give people value with anything that we're talking about inside of here. So we've brought you on to discuss a specific topic. We'll probably touch on a number of little things inside of there, and then we'll have a bigger, more broad discussion about who you are in Redondo, just like great life minutia.
Cool.
Well, this is what we wanted to get to today. What we're going to kind of have as like the bullseye for people is a little information on how do you find the right running shoe for you. And it's going to be, we could go super in depth.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of
There's a
information
lot. Okay, so I would love to try to give people some succinct ideas that they might be able to filter all that information through, and then we'll just get into radical theory with the Jedi.
Awesome. So the first thing to consider when you're getting a new shoe, kind of forget what you remember from before. We like to see your old shoe, so bring that in. The first mistake we often see is people wearing too small a shoe, so forgetting the number. You're not always going to be a size 10. You're probably going to be a 12 with some of our shoes, so forget the size. We want to focus on the fit. And then we want to have a conversation. How much running are you doing? Is there a race coming up? Are you training for a marathon? Are you just going to go do 2 or 3 miles a day? That all matters. We want to know what you're doing, where you're running, how much running you're doing. That helps us really dial into the right shoes for you. Then we try if you want. We watch you move. We want to see kind of how your foot's moving, what's your foot shape like. I usually get a picture in my head when someone walks in and we have the conversation. A shoe pops into my head.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
I'll start there usually, but then you have to let them guide. You let them guide the conversation. They'll have some preconceived notions, and you can explore that. You'll want to talk to them about that, let them try those shoes, and maybe it's the right shoe, maybe it's not. And sometimes you have to kind of steer them towards what might be the best shoe for them.
Yeah.
It's a very broad, and you talked about minutia. There are little tiny subtle differences in the shoes, and we want them to try them and let their feet decide what feels best.
Would you say that you feel like this, because of different ways and so much out there and so much minutia, do you feel like what you do is an art form?
I wouldn't call it an art form necessarily. There are days when you get that customer and you change a life. It's kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's awesome. You can take somebody who had this bad experience at another shop or have been in the wrong shoe, and if they'll let you can educate a little bit, and you see their eyes light up, and they'll come back in the shop like a week later going, this is the most amazing thing, and I love this shoe. And that happens, and it's amazing when it does. So
I feel like you did that for me, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember, but like many moons ago.
It was a couple.
I came in, and I had been wearing old Newtons.
Oh, sure.
And you knew all about Newtons. You used to sell them. Oh, no, maybe I even bought them there. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. But then they stopped being sold in the store. Right. And so I wanted something like that was kind of leading me in the barefoot running path. Right. And since they were no longer being sold in the store, we talked about barefoot running and how to move down that path. Yep. And so I worked my way down there, and so now I've been in ultras ever since. Yeah. So Yeah, you helped me a lot.
That's that conversation that you have with the customers. You see where they're at, where they want to be, and do you need to guide them in that direction, or are they going to go there with you? And so it helps.
Okay, let me ask you some like rookie questions for people who might be out there and watching this. What you guys also, you mentioned barefoot running, you mentioned some brand names, what are you trying to find for the person? Like, what's the first thing that you're like, okay, we're going to start deciding based on this and this?
Historically, when people would come in, you'd have them take their shoes off, you watch them move. What's your foot moving like? Are we pronating? Are we supinating? What's the degree? Is the knee tracking with it? You're watching them move. You kind of start that process when they walk in the door. I do. I want to see, I'm looking at their shoes.
Without them thinking about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can kind of wow them sometimes. You can say, oh, I can see you're doing this, and they'll say, how do you know? And I say, well, that's my job to know. I want to see what's going on there. Historically, we put you in a stability shoe, say, if there's categories of shoes. Neutral, stability, motion control, and variations within that. In the past, we would just keep putting shoes under your feet until we got that arch cranked up if you're pronating, yes? Mm-hmm. Anymore, that's changing. We talked about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
The idea of overcorrecting is really kind of a problem. We want the foot to be able to work like a foot. So that's a new conversation, and that can be a little harder because people have come in with what they've been taught.
Yeah.
I need stability. Stability sounds like a wonderful thing. Everybody wants stability.
Right.
They'll get confused with the terminology, and what they really want is support. Support's fine. Stability and overcorrection, less so. So
does it start working its way up the chain then? Like if you
right.
start overcorrecting at the bottom, now your knees hurt and your
exactly, and your neck will hurt eventually. It's if you start that chain compromised. There's other conversation about the chain starting at the hips rather than at the foot, but for our purposes, we'll start at the foot. So you want to make sure that we're in the right category,
right,
and guide those choices.
One of the things that we talk about inside of the gym a lot is we don't want something else stabilizing or supporting. You want your body to be able to create the support necessary to
Turns
do
out
whatever
it knows what it's doing for the most
part,
part, too.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yep. We talk about it all that time. Your body is much more intuitive than you are when it's trying to figure out how to move.
Yep.
And so consequently, inside of here, there's movements where you're going to short circuit yourself because you're overthinking. You're trying to think about it where your body already, if you just try and move and get like a correction here or there, your body will be able to catch on and go.
Feet are smart too. It's the same idea. So you want them to be able to do the work or at least guide the rest of the chain. So overcorrection is something I try and avoid.
Let me ask you about, you mentioned in your beginning that a lot of times misconceptions on sizing, that sometimes or a lot of times the shoe is too small. Can you elaborate on that?
Part of the problem is the sizing is inconsistent. So if you have been in this, say the Brooks Adrenaline or whatever your shoe is forever, so I'm a size 10 in this shoe, next season, next year, the sizing can be different. So that's inconsistent. People also just come in, if my street shoe, my traditional shoe is a size 8, say, then my running shoes are a size 8. And it's not. They all run small, so we always size up. And then we have to, part of the conversation with how much running we're doing. If they're running longer miles, you need a longer shoe. Your foot swells, it lengthens.
Yeah,
you don't want to jack up your toes. People lose toenails like it's a rite of passage.
It's a real.
You don't have to lose toenails.
Oh, that's so good. That's a great that's a great thing.
If
that's
your shoes fit, then you're going to be better off.
Okay.
So just my mantra in the shop is bigger is better. And they'll come in and you can just see their poor little toes cranked in there. So let's size up. I can't size up. I'm a size 8. You go, well, we're going to try and forget the number. And when you're successful, when you can help, when they'll go there with you, then they'll get in a better shoe. Sometimes they don't, but that's the hope. We want to help guide those choices as best we can.
In my own shoe theory and evolution, one of the things that has been a great help to me was finding shoes or even just start reading about having your foot being able to spread out, so a wider, more room in the toe box so that the foot could do what it's designed to do. Again,
that's the ultras.
That's
story
the ultras.
Right there.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a big ultra nerd.
Yeah.
They give me a hard time at the shop about it for that reason. Toe splay, and whether you just get a big enough traditional shoe where you can do that, you just don't want them touching and crunching because that's not a good chain start.
Yeah, right.
I liken it to doing a handstand. So You don't do them like that.
That's great.
You do it
so
like that.
true.
That's
Balance.
great. Our people
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
That's our people. We're upside down all the time. Our people will love that.
So you want those toes to be able to spread out.
That's right.
You want that big toe to be able to line up straight because there's your little power plant right there. And if it's twisted, that whole chain is kind of messed up.
Let me ask you this. This will be something you can help me with in that thing. So like people ask me all the time, what kind of shoes should I have inside of here? We do running. Most everything is a mile or under, and it's intervaled inside of things that we're already other exercises. Sometimes we'll get up to like 2 miles inside of a workout. So as they're asking me or getting new shoes that I would recommend towards lots of things that we do in here, right. they're like, man, it feels like my foot's able to move around in here. And I tend to direct them. I say, well, I wouldn't focus so much on what's happening with this, like this availability now that you have up here, but how does the back of the feel? If you're anchored here and that's not moving and slipping all around, is that correct? Am I giving them good advice?
That's exactly what I tell the people too.
Okay.
If there's a place in a shoe where you want space, it's up there for your toes. Lots of room up there, lots of length to swell into, but splay room also. Midfoot and heel, just want that snug. Okay. That's locked in so that you're staying back there. You're not going to slide. You're going to be able to swell.
Right.
So lock in the midfoot, lock in the heel, let your toes go. That's my fit feature right there.
That's cool. Yeah. Okay,
so
good.
You did right.
Awesome. Well, what else would you like people to know? Just on this quick theory of how to buy shoes, what else would you like them to know about that?
They'll have better luck if they kind of let us guide them a little bit. They'll come in with their preconceived notions and their ideas about what fit is like, but we've done the running, we've worn the shoes, we're in a position to help if they'll let us. So forget the sizing and you might be in the perfect shoe already, and great, we'll put you right back in it if it is, but we're here to kind of help guide those choices a little bit. So if they can let go of the baggage they're bringing in with them, we can maybe get them in a better place, or they might already be in that right place, and we can do that too. So let us help. We're there. We're the experts for a reason.
Yeah.
What was Mike's our tagline? Take our experience and run with it.
So, nice.
Yes, that's so brilliant.
That's why we're all runners. Right. The shop is staffed by runners, and
I always tell people that. I'm like, the one thing I love about Village Runner is they don't just know the shoes; they know running. Yeah. And so you guys have all done that. You have experience.
Well, Jen knew. She was like, "You guys are going to have a lot to talk about when we come on," because the thing that we are shouting about most inside of here is coaching. Yeah. Like that. So it sounds like you want to encourage people to let you coach them towards what you know, how many thousands and thousands of feet that you've helped, and you've had miracle stories of what has come when people let you coach them.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And in an information age where information is everywhere, our biggest problem is not that the information's out there, it's who to trust and to whittle it down to something that's very personal to you, where you are, what you're doing, it sounds like. We try and be, it's a neighborhood shop. It's been locally owned for 35 years, so we're kind of an institution in Redondo Beach. And it's a warm, family, comfortable vibe. That's what we hope to find. When people come in, it's not intense, it's not intimidating. We're friendly people, and some folks will be intimidated. They'll come into a running shop and they'll figure that I'm not elite enough to do this, and it's not that at all. But the bulk of our customers are actually walkers or more casual runners. We want it to be comfortable and easy and stress-free for them. Jen, now we've crossed over into great philosophy. Like there's a one-to-one here with how you are talking and how she describes your shop in Redondo, and this is how she, she's got this great run program down here, and she shouts about come with me, all you who are fearful of running. It's not the fear out there is real. People say to me, "Oh, I can't run." Can't. How many times do you hear? Oh, can't? It's awful, and I'm like, wait a second. I learned something the other day, though. Apparently, the word jog is a lot more like disarming. I didn't realize this. To me, it's like it's all running. But someone was like, "Oh, you mean I can jog?" I'm like, "What? What did you think?" Sure. I was so confused, right? Like
I didn't realize that was such a difference for people in their heads.
It can be strangely the flip side of that is runners. Some of them don't want to be referred to as joggers.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, okay, just put on your shoes.
But
Just put on your shoes and just start.
Yeah, but there's freedom. Yeah, there's freedom for you to encourage them inside of the lane that they want to be in, because you'll have them with, like, Jen's got this method that she goes and runs with people so that somebody who wants yes.
What is that?
Oh my gosh, this
Come
girl.
join us sometime.
This is
It's
the
magic.
girl that you want to be your running coach. Like, enthusiasm at 5 and 6 a.m. and a guided tour of Redondo Beach.
Twice. What is that?
I do it twice. You're right.
Amazing.
I know.
She's
Oh,
amazing.
Every so often, I can convince someone else to do it twice with me, but it's rare. It's rare.
That's an early day.
3 times a week. That's right.
You talked about being an institution in Redondo Beach. I want to tell you that, like, oh my gosh, I admire that so much. 35 years, is that what you said?
Yep.
Wow, do I want somebody to find this place. I'm so honored to be a small business that has been open over 10 years. Like, what an amazing honor.
A milestone, right?
Yeah.
there. That's a big one.
But 35 years and in the community and known and trusted. And wow, that is incredible. One of the things that you do with community is you guys do races. You invite people to participate in the thing.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's a big
So fun.
We've got St. Pat's coming up on the 15th. We do 4th of July. We help out
March
on
15th.
Forces Day. Did
That's
I say?
right.
Yeah.
March 15th.
Coming right up.
Yep.
It's a big, fun, super community thing, and there are people who wait all year to come do our 4th of July race or do the St. Pat's, and it's, you and several thousand of your best friends come and play. It's great.
Yeah. Now
those
that's a
races-
community event.
Absolutely. Those races are how I got my kids into running.
There we go.
I mean, the 4th of July Kids Dash.
Yep.
There was like Captain America at the start line, and all the kids chase him to the finish line. It is the best thing ever.
It's the best part of the whole day. It's so much fun.
Yeah. And then Hayden gets to the other end. She gets to the finish line. She's like, "Did I win?" Meanwhile, she's surrounded in kids that all ran as fast as they
Heck
could.
yeah, you did.
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh,
It was
that's so
fun.
cool. That is great. What else, Jen? Do you have anything else?
Oh my gosh, so many things. Well, you guys also have a store in Manhattan Beach, which is great. I've been there a couple of times. Of course, Redondo is my favorite. But for people who don't know, do you think everyone kind of knows that you guys moved locations?
No.
Okay.
It's been a year and a half, and we moved just a couple blocks north of where we have been traditionally on Catalina. So we're just 2 blocks north at 1611 instead of 1811. But still, every day someone will come in and say, "When did you move?" I had the hardest time finding you.
Well, you kind of had an iconic location on Catalina before, and that's where like the 4th of July race started. And so people kind of knew Village Runner there, but now it's on Avenue I.
Technically, it is. The shop faces Avenue I. The address is still Catalina, so I think that's part of the confusion, because the building that we're in is a Catalina address. Avenue I is where the shop is. But once you've found it once, and happily,
for sure.
Having been around for 35 years, we have our core folks, and they've all come and found us. So it's been a great move for us. We're excited about it, but there's still the folks who are still looking for us.
Yeah, and parking is actually easier now at the new place because there's all that underground parking.
Free parking down below, so that's super easy too.
Great.
So awesome.
Okay, here's what I want to do. We are going to adjourn the QuickPod. That sounds like an ending, and it kind of is. Our QuickPod is going to come to an end, but for anybody who is interested, we're going to continue this conversation. We've got a podcast for CrossFit 310, and now we're going to start getting into some history of Darren, and we're going to talk. I want to hear about what is the thing that you love to do with people that you can't wait to get to. What's your sweet spot inside of your coaching and shoe fitting and lifestyle changing? We'd love to talk to you about also cross training, right? Like, we get runners inside of here, and we have a theory on how we can help people as they run, and we're interested in performance and just helping people get to another level. So thank you so much for watching the QuickPod. Check out our podcast, the extended version of this, and we'll see you again.
Yay.